There are wounds that cut deeper than a knife. And some of those wounds come from the people who share your blood. Family's supposed to be your safe place, the one space where loyalty should never be questioned. But when betrayal comes from your siblings, it shakes you to your core. You question your worth, your trust, your love, and yourself. But today, I want to speak to the part of you that's tired of pretending it didn't hurt. The part that knows forgiveness doesn't always mean allowing someone to keep hurting you. Because there are certain betrayals you should never ignore, never excuse, and never forget. No matter who they come from, never forgive the betrayal where your sibling mocks your pain. When you open your heart, when you share your struggle, and they turn your vulnerability into a punchline, that's not family, that's cruelty in disguise. People who belittle your emotions reveal how unsafe it is to be real around them. And when someone makes you feel small for feeling deeply, they don't deserve access to the parts of you that are sacred. Protect your sensitivity. It's not a weakness. It's your superpower. Never forgive the betrayal where your sibling competes instead of celebrates. When your success becomes their jealousy, when your growth makes them insecure, that's not love. True family cheers for you, even when they're struggling themselves. But envy poisons relationships. It turns laughter into comparison and memories into bitterness. You deserve people who want to see you win, not those who secretly hope you'll fail just so they can feel better about where they are. Never forgive the betrayal of manipulation. When your sibling uses guilt to control you, when they twist your kindness into an obligation, that's emotional warfare. You are not responsible for carrying someone who refuses to walk on their own. Love doesn't demand your peace as payment. Learn to say no without explaining why. Boundaries don't destroy relationships. They reveal who values them. Never forgive the betrayal of disloyalty. When a sibling shares your secrets, when they expose your truth just to gain sympathy or attention, that's a violation that shatters trust. You can rebuild many things, but once trust is broken, it never returns the same. Silence becomes your safety, distance your healing. Protect your privacy. It's not pettiness, it's survival. Never forgive the betrayal of indifference. When you needed them most and they chose silence. When you were crying and they turned away, pretending not to notice. Sometimes it's not what people do, it's what they fail to do that hurts the most. A sibling who can't stand beside you in your pain doesn't deserve a front row seat in your joy. Never forgive the betrayal of deceit. Lies rot the foundation of every relationship. A sibling who looks you in the eyes and still chooses to deceive you doesn't just disrespect you. They destroy the bond that once held you together. Truth doesn't always feel good, but lies always end badly. Let honesty be your standard, not your exception. And never forgive the betrayal of constant disrespect. When a sibling consistently mocks your choices, talks down to you, or uses your past as a weapon, understand that love without respect isn't love at all. No matter who it is, anyone who diminishes your worth doesn't belong in your inner circle. Healing doesn't always mean reconciliation. Sometimes, healing is closing the door and walking away without hate. But with wisdom, you can forgive for your peace, but that doesn't mean you invite the same pain back into your life. Forgiveness is freedom, but boundaries are protection. Some betrayals don't deserve another chance. They deserve your silence, your diss, and your peace. So if your heart still aches from a sibling's betrayal, don't rush to move on. Feel it, grieve it, learn from it, and then rise. Not bitter, but wiser. Family isn't defined by blood. It's defined by loyalty, safety, and love. Protect your peace like it's sacred, because it is. And remember, some betrayals teach you who deserves to stay in your life, and who was only meant to teach you how to stand on your own. When your sibling mocks your pain, it cuts in a way that's hard to describe. You expect strangers to misunderstand you, but never the people who grew up beside you. When you open up about something that hurts you, and instead of empathy, you get sarcasm, laughter, or indifference, that betrayal sinks deep into your heart. It teaches you to hide your feelings, to silence your own truths just to avoid being humiliated again. And that's not fair. You shouldn't have to wear emotional armor in your own home. Mockery is a quiet kind of cruelty. It says your emotions don't matter even if it's disguised as a joke. But what they call it just teasing often leaves invisible scars. It makes you question your worth and your right to feel. When someone who shares your blood uses your vulnerability as material for amusement, they reveal the smallness of their heart. It's not humor, it's humiliation masked as love. The worst part is that you start doubting yourself. You start wondering if maybe you were too sensitive, too emotional, too dramatic, but you weren't, just human. Hoping that someone close to you would see your pain and care. What you needed was understanding, not ridicule. What you deserved was comfort, not laughter. The truth is, anyone who mocks your pain doesn't have the emotional maturity to handle your truth. They can't give what they haven't developed themselves. Empathy. You can't heal in a space where your emotions are mocked. Healing begins when you walk away from people who think your suffering is a punchline. Your feelings are valid, your pain is real, and your heart deserves safety, not scorn. Never let anyone, especially a sibling, make you feel ashamed for feeling deeply. When your sibling chooses to compete with you instead of celebrating you, it creates a silent war inside what should have been a safe bond. You begin to notice the small comments, the fake smiles, the subtle tension when something good happens in your life. Their congratulations feel hollow, their presence feels heavy. Instead of being proud of you, they start keeping score, and soon love turns into rivalry. Sibling competition may seem harmless at first, but when it's driven by jealousy, it becomes toxic. It poisons connection and replaces closeness with comparison. You can feel it in the way they measure your achievements against their own, as if life is a race and only one of you can win. But family isn't meant to compete. It's meant to complete. It's meant to complete. True love doesn't feel threatened by your progress. It's inspired by it. Jealousy is a reflection of insecurity, not your success. When your sibling starts resenting your growth, it's because they haven't yet learned to find value in their own path. But their jealousy shouldn't make you shrink. Never dim your light just to make someone else feel comfortable in their shadows. You worked hard for what you have, and you shouldn't have to apologize for shining. It's heartbreaking when a sibling's love turns into quiet resentment. You want to share your joy with them, but their eyes no longer hold pride, they hold comparison. Still, remember this, your success doesn't harm anyone who's truly happy for you. People who love you will always clap when you win, even if they're still waiting for their moment. But when someone turns your victories into competition, that's not love, it's envy. And envy has no place in the heart of someone who claims to care for you. When your sibling uses guilt to control you, it's one of the most draining betrayals you can experience. They twist your kindness into an obligation and your compassion into weakness. They make you feel like you owe them something simply because you care. Every time you try to set a boundary, they remind you of what they've done for you or how you're not being family anymore. It's manipulation wrapped in emotion and leaves you feeling trapped between love and guilt. This kind of behavior doesn't come from love. It comes from control. It comes from control. It's about keeping you small, predictable, and available. When you start growing, when you start saying no, they panic because they can no longer use your empathy as a weapon. They play the victim to make you feel guilty, knowing you'll cave just to keep the peace. But the truth is, peace built on guilt isn't peace at all. It's submission. You were never created to be someone's emotional puppet. Love doesn't demand that you sacrifice your happiness to keep someone else comfortable. Real love respects your boundaries, even when it doesn't benefit them. When your sibling uses phrases like "you've changed" or "you never help anymore," what they really mean is, "Also don't ever, I can't control you like before." And that's a sign of your growth, not your betrayal. The moment you stop letting guilt dictate your actions, you reclaim your freedom. Saying no doesn't make you heartless, it makes you healthy. You can still care without being controlled. You can still love without losing yourself. The ones who truly value you will never make you feel guilty for protecting your peace. But the ones who manipulate you will only respect your silence until you finally find your strength to say, "No more." When your sibling breaks your trust and exposes your secrets, it's a kind of pain that sits quietly but cuts deeply. Yeah. Trust isn't something that's handed out. It's something that's built piece by piece through honesty, loyalty, and love. When you confide in someone who shares your blood, you do it because you believe your truth is safe with them. But when that trust is betrayed, when your private words become gossip, or your weaknesses become their weapon, it changes everything. That kind of betrayal doesn't just hurt your feelings, it shakes your foundation. It teaches you to guard your heart even when you shouldn't have to. Suddenly, the person you once ran to becomes the one you run from. And the worst part is, you start doubting not just them, but everyone. You begin to wonder who's safe, who's real, and whether it's even worth opening up again. When someone you love shares your pain with others for sympathy or attention, it's not a mistake. It's a choice. It's a deliberate act that says, my need to be seen is more important than your need to be safe. And once that line is crossed, the relationship rarely feels the same. You can forgive, but something in you stays guarded. The innocence of trust never returns. Sometimes the people closest to you forget that your secrets are sacred. They forget that your vulnerability was a gift, not gossip. So when a sibling exposes what was meant to stay private, it's okay to distance yourself. It's okay to protect what's left of your peace. Because trust, once broken, doesn't heal with words. It heals with changed behavior. And if that change never comes, silence becomes your new form of protection. When your sibling chooses silence in your pain, it can break you in ways that words never could. There's a unique kind of loneliness that comes from being unseen by the people you expected to stand beside you. You don't always need them to fix your situation. You just need them to show up, to care, to listen. But when they look away, pretend not to notice, or act like your struggle is too inconvenient to acknowledge, it leaves you carrying a double burden, the weight of your pain and the heaviness of their absence. Their silence speaks volumes. It says, your pain doesn't matter enough for me to care. And that message seeps into your heart until you start believing it. You question whether you're worth supporting, whether your emotions are valid, whether you're asking for too much. But you're not. You deserve to be seen, especially by the people who share your roots, your memories, your home. Indifference is betrayal in disguise. It's easy to say, I'm here for you when times are good, but true loyalty is proven when everything falls apart. When a sibling turns away instead of reaching out, it reveals where their heart truly stands. Love doesn't disappear when life gets messy. It leans in, it listens, it stays. So when your sibling remains silent during your storms, remember that their lack of presence says more about them than it does about you. It's not your fault they couldn't handle your vulnerability. Some people simply don't know how to show up for others because they've never learned how to sit with their own pain. You can still love them from a distance, but don't mistake their silence for peace. Sometimes their absence is the loudest answer you'll ever get. When your sibling lies to you, deceives you, or hides the truth behind a smile, it leaves a scar that runs deeper than most realize. Lies between family members destroy something sacred, the sense of safety. You begin to question not only their words, but their intentions, their loyalty, even their love. It's not just the lie itself that hurts. It's the moment you realize that someone you trusted looked you in the eyes and still chose to betray that trust. That kind of pain lingers because it shatters your ability to believe. Deceit changes the way you see everything. Every word they speak afterward feels uncertain. Every promise feels fragile. You replay conversations, searching for clues, wondering how long they've been pretending. And in that confusion, something inside you hardens. The innocence of trust fades, replaced by caution. You learn to protect yourself, to expect less, to question more. But deep down, you miss the version of them you thought you knew. Lying is more than dishonesty. It's emotional abandonment. It says, I care more about protecting myself than protecting you. When your sibling lies, they prioritize their comfort over your trust. And once that trust is broken, it can't be repaired with apologies alone. Words are cheap when actions don't change. The truth might hurt, but lies destroy. Truth can heal, but deceit corrodes everything it touches. A relationship built on dishonesty will eventually collapse under its own weight. You deserve honesty even when it's uncomfortable, because honesty is the foundation of love. A sibling who truly respects you will never risk losing your trust for the sake of convenience. Lies may protect them for a moment, but they cost them something far greater. A privilege of your faith, your closeness, and your genuine love. When your sibling constantly disrespects you, mocking your dreams, criticizing your choices, or using your past as ammunition, it's a form of betrayal that slowly erodes your sense of self. Disrespect from a stranger might sting for a moment, but disrespect from someone who shares your blood lingers deep in your soul. It's a reminder that not everyone raised beside you will rise with you. Their words might come disguised as honesty or a tough love, but truth without kindness isn't love. It's cruelty dressed as concern. Respect is the foundation of every meaningful relationship. Without it, love becomes manipulation and closeness becomes control. When a sibling constantly talks down to you, interrupts your voice, or dismisses your feelings, they're not just disagreeing, they're devaluing you. They want to hold authority over you instead of standing beside you. And the sad reality is, sometimes their disrespect doesn't come from hate. It comes from insecurity. People who can't accept your growth often try to belittle it. You might try to explain yourself to make them understand your heart. But people who are committed to misunderstanding you will never truly listen. Every sarcastic comment, every eye roll, every dismissive tone chips away at the bond you once shared. Over time, you begin to withdraw not out of bitterness, but out of self-preservation. You don't owe anyone access to you if they can't treat you with dignity. You can love someone deeply and still choose distance when that love turns harmful. Respect isn't optional, it's essential. The moment someone, even a sibling, forgets that, the relationship stops being a safe space. Love without respect is manipulation. And no matter how much history or blood connects you, the absence of respect will always destroy what love was meant to protect.